This time on Custom Works, we're making that wheel spat that covers the front wheel. Let's get to the workshop. So then, this time on Custom Works, what we're going to be doing is making a spat, but for the front wheel of the 60s truck. Now this is radical. I've never covered the front wheel on anything, but I think the 60s truck's got that, it's got that madness, that sort of crazy custom vibe that it's going to be able to carry it off. Although, what I make today, I will probably embellish somewhat in the future. I just want to get it together so it fits, it's got a rebate, all the things that a good wheel spat needs. So, let's get to the tools, let's get to the workshop, let's get the wheel spat made, and let's try not to make it look too weird. Okay, so last week we did the bonnet, and I spent a lot of time doing that bonnet, and we put that teardrop in. I remember at the time thinking, is this right? Because everything's on the offset on this, and like that teardrop's just totally central. And then a lot of people in the comments from last week said how good it looked. I thought, it looks great, you know, the people always know. But then I was in here the other night and I looked at it and I thought, you know what, the teardrop isn't good. So I started to bang some other ideas around. I planned out a few other shapes and stuff that Kirst actually came in and said, that looks rubbish, so yeah, I had to go. But I've got a new shape now and I've moulded it in, so here it is. So what we've gone for here is more of like the offset oval on the side, and we've tried to put these curved edges in to sort of echo the curved edges on the side trim of the car and also in the grille. I think this is going to be better. It's going to give more like sort of tantalising glimpses of the engine rather than just showing it off. It's on the offset, so the car's still got that 60s sort of asymmetric vibe, and I think this is going to be, I think it's going to be better. So the way I've done this to like change my problem from failure to victory, the way I've done it is basically I just put a piece of Foamex, which is quite soft and flexible in there, and that's covered the teardrop hole. And then I bonded this in, I've snowplowed the filler around it using the filler spreader to get this sort of radius to it. And now what I'm going to do is I'll just knock all the high bits off and I'm going to go over this section of the bonnet again, probably with, probably 3 coats of fibreglass, just so that this is all super strong. And again, all back to being one piece, and all this filler is covered over, and it's all nice and strong. So I'll get to that, get that done, and then in the future try to just do it once and get it right. Never works. This is hot rodding, you know what I mean? You don't know where you're going, there's no instruction book, is there? Just got to do what you think on the day, and if it's wrong, well, you've got to do it again. Alright, 60 truck, it's got this thing where we're going to get rid of the front wheels. We're going to have spats front and back. Now, this is a tough thing to do and get right. A lot like the asymmetric front, which I think is coming on pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. But definitely, getting rid of your front wheels has got to be done right, or it's not going to look very good. And on this, obviously, it's this truck, so everything's pretty damn weird. So what I'm thinking of doing is making a wheel spat that follows this line and this line, and then I want it to sort of sweep around this bit into there and then down. That's a complicated wheel spat, and as always I'm not really sure I'm going to make it, but I know it's going to involve dye bond and fibreglass. What a surprise. So let's get some dye bond, start sketching things out, and I don't know, just get a feel for what we're going to make. die board out there. It's close. It's close to what I want. Quite like this. I always wanted it to curve around here. I like this. This curve here is echoing the rear curve. And instead of running this parallel, what I've done is I've dropped it down a little bit there. And that line would end up hitting the line on the rear arch, and you know, we'd have that nice swoop from front to back. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to transfer this onto a piece of die bond. So there is like the base board for what I'm going to make there. I'm pretty happy with the shape, and I think it sort of complements the car. You know, obviously this is going to have a lot of detail on it by the end, and this piece itself will sit within a raised section. Yeah, for the time being, this is looking like a good base for the front span. We have got this panel, which is just a piece of die bond at the minute, and we're going to fit it on here. But what I need to do, I need to build a rebate around the edge of this to bring some rigidity, and I also need to bring a rebate that this is going to sit in. What I don't want to do just here, I want to come up to this and leave this nice curve into the front line. So I am going to sink this actually in. So I need to make my shape here, and then form a shape onto that, and then bond it all in together so that I get my panel gap right from the start. this bit, what we've done here, I've made this edge, and that's the shape I want it to be. And this is the start of the rebate that I'm going to actually sink this in. So this piece will be glass to the car. This piece will be the removable piece. And these little bits that I've cut, they form your panel gap. So this is in a perfect sort of 4mm offset to the main shape. So once this is glassed in, I'll bash this bit out, and then this bit will fit perfectly in there, and I will form a retaining rebate on this inside edge. But this makes making a flush panel gap rebated panel really, really easy, and I've got a really good chance of getting a great panel gap on there right from the very start. But now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this so it's flush with this. I want this flush with the body, so I'm just going to flush this off just so that I can, as I adjust it and bond it sort of into place, I get it right, because even though the panel looks pretty flat, there is some sort of curve to it, so I just want to make sure I get this flush all the way around. What down there, Right, so what I've done here, I've cut this out, I marked it, and then I've cut on the inside of the mark by about 3mm. So that now sits neatly in there, and what I'll be able to do is this will be the back of the wheel spat, and then this will form the rebate that the wheel spat sits in. So that is almost a nice fit there. But it's good enough that I'll be able to super glue it in place, and then this will all be fibreglassed in as it goes in the car. But for now, what I'm going to do, I cut like probably a 25-30mm strip off the edge of this, and then that forms the rebate for the spat to sit in, and then the bit that goes around it, that's all space with our 4mm die bond to give us that panel gap. And then this is all going to go in as one, and then all we'll have to do is when the car's up on the ramp is just have a secondary layer of fibreglass over the back of this, and this whole thing is held into place and is within the body line, and there's a rebate. There's all of that stuff, but all of this stuff is what forms something that sits into a rebate with a body line. These things aren't easy, but this is a super simple way of making those sort of things work. Okay, and so here what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill this with the sort of like filler type fiberglass just to hold this in place. I'm going to thin it down a little bit with some fiberglass resin just so I know it oozes into all these cracks. And that is just to hold this piece, not this piece. This is a bit that's going to be moving. This is a piece that's going to stay forever. But this will end up exactly the same shape as this, but just with this 4mm offset all the way around it. So I'm going to glue this, and I'll probably glue this back section, let that dry, and then I will pull this front section in because there is some taper there. So I'll get this bit glued, then I'll glue that, and then we're a lot closer to having this as having the right shape of aperture as the actual spat. So I've done all round here, and that's dry now with the aid of the heater. And now I've pulled this in, and I'm going to get some filler all the way around here to hold that in. Around this with fiberglass now, and what I'm going to do now is try and prise it out. I've already cut down here with the cutting disc in the grinder, and this seems pretty slack. Now at the moment this bit, it's glued to the body, is only glued on with that bit of like fiberglass Bondo, so I've got to be a little bit careful, but let's see how it goes. We've got it off, but this isn't the bit we've been making. That's sort of just the thing that fills the hole. So it's this that we've got. So we've got this rebate that curves, don't just curve this way, but it curves this way as well, and that's going to pull it in, comes out, panel cap's always good, and it's all done. So all there is to do now is to glass the back of this to make it stronger. Now, initially what I'm going to do that with is just the fiberglass filler. And then once the car's up on the ramp, when we do the underside of this car, that will all be glassed in with matte and resin, and then this will be literally bulletproof. And of course, best part, it's never going to go rusty. So that's it for another week on Custom Works. I'll be back next week with loads more weird stuff that we've done in the workshop over the coming week. Anyway, don't forget, buy a t-shirt from our Etsy store. We've also got some stickers as well. Do that. Also, click subscribe. Leave comments down below. Been getting some great comments recently, like genuinely insightful and actually sort of helping me along the way. It's been great. Do all of them things. Big thumbs up. The blah 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 bell end icon. Whatever. I thank you very much and good night.